Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolebarger. Welcome to this week's KFIR Middle East Update. It's the week of August 2nd. And just as a reminder, there is an accompanying PDF PowerPoint that goes along with this. A lot more information, photos, etc. And you can access that on our website at holygroundexplorations.com. Well, first things first, some breaking news. It's just coming across, getting various types of bits of information from friends in Israel. But for those of you that have been with us and you've been up to the Golan and even on the Jeep tour, you know that we look into Quneitra on the Syrian side, and at 2 p.m. or just a few hours ago, Israel launched a rocket into that particular area, and the thought is that they're targeting an Iranian outpost that is currently being populated by Hezbollah, a military infrastructure kind of geared to set up listening posts and monitoring the northern IDF movements. And so once again, things are heating up. You can see the photo and the PDF that I talked about. And now we're going to have to wait and see, because as we go through this today, we know that there's violence in Gaza already, or taking place at this time also. And all of these, just so you know, is sort of undermined by, guess who? That's right, the Iranians. And the idea has always been a multi-front invasion or war or rockets or whatever, whether it be from Lebanon, where we know that there's tens, if not 50 or 100,000 rockets that they possess, that's pointing towards Israel, or just across the way towards the east, what we just talked about here, Quneitra, Syria, or of course in the south in Gaza. So again, that's the latest, and we'll just have to wait and see how all this sort of pans out. For my musings this week, I read an article, and oftentimes we can be lulled into a sense of security, and because Israel has erected a wall of separation, we don't hear much about suicide bombings. We think, well, it must all be over. And then every so often, in speaking to people in the IDF or whatever, they always make it known that no, it's not over. It's just that we're able to stop the threats or the plans. And so when I read this, I was reminded there was a terror attack in Shechem near Joseph's tomb that was averted last night, or Monday night, that is. A pipe bomb was discovered right before the arrival of about 1,200 Jewish worshipers. It was affixed inside the tomb compound, and again, once it was discovered, the IDF took care of it. Again, averted, but my point being is that it's not as if they do not continue to make these attempts. And so can you imagine 1,200 people in that small compound with a sizable bomb going off? News bites for this week. Iran, of course, last week we read about missile tests that were taking place in Iran. They make the statement that, they're entirely defensive. They're not meant against any country. But like I said, when you see and when you hear all the different things that are going on, nothing is insignificant. So Iran's testing missiles. Israel's foreign ministers are attempting to announce a plan for more of the world's embassies to move to Jerusalem, some incentives for that. Kind of, again, just news bites. A London-based Arabic daily reports that the Israeli F-35s, the stealth fighters, were used last week to carry out 2 strikes on Iranian assets in Iraq. And again, no comment from Israel. And then Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas says that the Palestinians will no longer abide by any previous agreements made with Israel. And Israel once again is warning Abbas because they've kept him afloat. And they're basically saying, if you scrap any of these security agreements, it's going to lead to the collapse of the Palestinian Authority. So that's where things are at as far as news bites. Now, some specific, more detailed articles. I mentioned Iran in Gaza. A report out that Iran is trying to take over Gaza. An IDF official warns Palestinians. According to Major General Kamil Abul Rakan, he's telling the Gazans that Hamas is now Iran's first line of defense. And the goal of Iran, and what's crazy about this is that we are talking Sunni Shiite, but the goal of Iran is to establish a united military front that's going to stretch from Tehran to Gaza. And so, once again, whatever they can do, getting their tentacles in, especially to the southern area, going back to, as I mentioned, a multi-front attack on Israel. With that being said, just last night, there was a breach of the fence in Gaza. IDF soldiers, 2 were injured, and a Hamas militant was killed in an exchange of fire. Again, that was on Thursday morning of this week. They're not sure if the suspect was just acting alone. He was wearing a uniform. He was armed with grenades, a Russian rifle. He infiltrated through the fence and tossed a grenade towards the IDF force that was there, and then he was eliminated by the Golani troops. And so, right when we talk about what Iran's plan is, we see things ratcheting up. We know that Israel has been doing maneuvers in the south once again. Netanyahu is making it clear, and I think it will be, especially as their elections continue, the people in the south, are constantly under these sort of attacks and frustrated that the IDF hasn't really taken care of this issue. And so there may be an iron fist, in a sense, from Israel coming soon. Well, again, like so many of these things, we'll just have to wait and see. When we talk about hope for the future and peace plans and all of that, don't underestimate the power of textbooks. There was great hope years ago when the Palestinian Authority announced that it was completely replacing its K through 12 school textbooks. But the new editions that have just come out, you can see some of the pages that were there. They're even worse than the old ones. Teaching Jew hatred, fictionalizing history, a profound glorification of martyrdom, terrorism, and hate. While the Western liberals continue to place the onus of peacemaking on Israel, the truth of the matter is these materials that we see make it clear of the Palestinians' dedication to what? To war, to waging war. I thought I could get away with it, but unfortunately, AOC speaks, so there's an article here. One of the comments that she made is that, again, that because of the water situation in Gaza, people have the right to riot. And, it's crazy that in all of this, it's just frightening, to realize that this person serves in our government and has a voice that people are paying attention to. And it's all fabricated. Again, her quote was, once people have no access to clean water, they've got no choice but to riot. And it's an entirely false statement. There's no connection to any reality of all of this, but this is what's coming out. So I thought I could get away with it, but wasn't. A couple other articles. I'm out of time now. I just hit the 10-minute mark. A new discovery. Archaeologists have been searching for what they've called the Church of the Apostles for years. They have found a mosaic. You can see the pictures. They're pretty convinced this is it. And it's built over the home of when Peter and Andrew's home in Bethsaida. And so, again, check out, that's kind of exciting. Looking forward in our next trip to Israel to see all that. So, again, our time's up. God bless you. Pray, pray, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, especially in these days. Shalom.